This is a CBS News special report. I'm Gail King with John Dickerson here in New York. The Supreme Court has just ruled on President Trump's travel ban for people from 7 countries, most of them predominantly Muslim.
By a 5-4 vote, the justices decided the president has the right to limit entry to the U.S. from those countries, overturning a lower court ruling against the ban. Jan Crawford is at the Supreme Court. Jan, good morning.
Good morning, John. You know, this is really the most significant legal test of the Trump presidency, and the justices in a 5-4 decision said that he had the same kind of deference that they've granted presidents in years past, that they were not going to look at a Trump administration any differently. Presidents typically have broad authority to decide national security matters, matters of immigration, and President Trump, they believed, was entitled to that deference because there were reasonable grounds for this third travel ban. Now, keep in mind, this was the president's third attempt to pass a travel ban. He had been widely blocked in the lower courts, but today the Supreme Court is saying that the third time he's gotten it right. The focus is more narrow on these 5 mostly Muslim countries. The administration cited what they said were legitimate national security reasons because they had failures in their screening in place for singling out those countries. And the administration said this wasn't a Muslim ban because it excluded the vast majority of the Muslim world. So in a ruling today, a tremendous vindication for the president, who had lost at almost every turn in the lower courts. The Supreme Court ruling he does have the authority to pass this third rendition of a travel ban.
Jan, was the ruling along the lines as we've seen them before, a 5-4 ruling? Was it, how did it break down?
Yes, it's very much a ruling that split conservatives and liberals. The Chief Justice is writing this decision, joined by the 4 other more conservative justices. 4 of the court's liberal justices are in dissent, and they've written 2 separate dissents saying that the court has really failed to recognize key issues of discrimination here against Muslims. But in his majority opinion, and we're still going to be getting through this opinion, as you can see, it's a pretty thick decision with several different dissents. In his majority opinion, the Chief Justice is saying that presidents get deference on some of these national security questions. Historically, they have, and this president has given a rationale for excluding these specific countries, 5 mostly Muslim countries, plus North Korea and Venezuela, because they don't have proper security screenings in place in those countries for travelers who would be coming to the United States. The Supreme Court, in that decision, with the conservatives in the majority in today's decision, is saying that presidents get that deference, and right now, at least, this decision signals that they are not going to carve out an exception for President Trump. President Trump, if there is a good rationale for his policies based in law, then they are going to treat him as they have in the past with past presidents, John.
All right, Jan, thank you very much. As you point out, it's a big victory for President Trump today. Major Garrett is at the White House with reaction from the administration on this. Major, good morning.
No official reaction yet, Gail and John, but you can be sure the administration will hail this Supreme Court decision. The White House had always said that every version of its travel ban was constitutionally defensible, and yet it rewrote the first and it rewrote the second. And the third variation was much more in keeping with practices of immigration and dialogue with the affected and named nations. And the travel ban said that because the United States was uncertain about not only information sharing, but security apparatus within those countries, those people who did not have a legitimate reason to enter the United States should and could be blocked, and do so legally. And that is the administration's position about that third travel ban. It was always viewed here at the White House as much more tightly written from a legal perspective and much more procedurally enforceable. The Supreme Court, it turns out, has agreed. Gail and John?
Right. Any idea, Major, when you'll hear anything from the White House?
Very soon, I would expect.
Yeah, I would think so, too. This is good news for the White House today. Thank you very much. Coverage will continue throughout the day on your local news on this CBS station and our 24-hour streaming network, that's CBSN. You can watch it at cbsnews.com.
We'll also have a full wrap-up tonight on the CBS Evening News. Some of you will return now to CBS This Morning. This has been a CBS News special report. I'm John Dickerson with Gail King, CBS News, New York.
For news 24 hours a day, go to cbsnews.com.